Good morning. Welcome to the breakfast show for a special roundup of the post-general election 15th that we've seen. I think many of you would have sleepless night over the Saturday and Sunday, and I think many of you voted just like me too. So we're going to be looking at the market have we seen before. Now also, this is just a little bit of the update that we did from last Wednesday. Now the last Wednesday we did talk about the post GE15 preparation that if you all may have gone through that video. So we're just going to do an update from there and where we are this morning and see some of the things that we did talk about is pretty accurate or not. And also we're going to be looking at the counter, either the Anwar counter or the Muhyiddin counter to see where they are, because they do paint a picture of what it is. And for those of you who do follow me this morning on the Telegram chat, I think I updated the members, especially in our member Telegram chat, is the likelihood of the event and how we see this is to unravel the market from a point of volume spread analysis, which is important because this is how we can see smart money, whether they have an edge in determining where the market is going. So let's get on to what we have for you this morning. All right. So a special edition this morning in here is what we have seen so far, and looking at it from a standpoint of using Smart Robie as well as the VSA 360 to determine how we're going to go. Now we do have a post GE15 Hung Parliament, and many of you who came on last Wednesday, you got it right. The Hung Parliament, and also many predictor of the market was also expecting that, and they were also talking about this market, what is likely to be, because with the three party that is running simultaneously, both showing great power and also great so-called, and what was the further result of that. We also examined that. Let me just bring this back again here and want to show you what has happened in the market itself and what was the punters were talking about in too. So definitely first of all, let's look at the what we have and previously what I've talked about in here, and looking at the results that we've seen and also what is likely to be next coming in. Now of course you all may have seen this on last Wednesday, is the punters. Okay, this is the punter in here, and we did talk about where is the closest accurate. Already people always underestimate or overestimate. I think we have seen this one. If you have seen this one, give me a thumbs up. At least I know you're really paying attention in here. So you can see this stocks, Harapan was in the favorite, and you can see here the lowest number was only 84, which is Iman. Invoke was a bit optimistic, 105, and we do see even the Permatan Mau seat, which is traditionally has been Anwar seat, had also lost out. And if you look at the Perikatan, the low side was about 43 seats. No one really expected 56. That was the highest, 60 seats. Iman was the closest, right? 60 seats. They got 73 seats. Just keep in mind in that there. So they underestimated how Perikatan and UMNO, which only got 30 seats, and you can see from here everyone were expecting 40 seats, and what was the lowest here? Lowest was 32 and Iman was 41, so they got it wrong on that side, and only ASEAN got it right. ASEAN was optimistic on Pakatan, they were optimistic on the Perikatan here, right? But they got it and they were close to the so-called close to the Barisan Nasional. So the closest, in my case, ASEAN was the closest winner to this one. So we all seen many of this using the Smart Robie to look at some shares. Now let's take a look at the market this morning. The KLSE, as I said before, can only go three ways: up, down, or sideways. But it did get down to the support we have seen using the VSA 360, holding up there low. This is quite expected. As we said before, the market did open with a hung parliament. As from right now, many of you who have seen some of my posting on the Telegram, they are meeting, Pakatan Harapan and Barisan Nasional are meeting in that, and many people were saying, aren't they the worst enemy of themselves? But when it comes to politics, sometimes enemy can become friends and foe can become lovers. So we get to see what in there, right? It's going to be a test to in, but like in any what we call developing or coming to very mature democracy, we all have to tone down our own rhetoric and also personal interest of the parties, and go for what is good for the government to work together. I think there will be compromise between the Pakatan Harapan and also the Barisan Nasional India if they were to form it. Or the other side, we will get the Perikatan Nasional and the GPS and the other party, GRS, to form the other government. So we yet to be seen, but definitely so far this meeting will be the focus right now, at least until 2 o'clock p.m. of the deadline. Now, going to it, the market did not gap lower, so that do mean that market always has a little bit of tail to tell us where it is going. We will also look at some of those annual versus moving counter. Now, closing back to the 1450 will be a challenge, which is what we see just on top here, 1450, and that is really the resistance in here. And going to, depending the kind of policies that we are seeing, but right now you do see that US likely to break up more, but on the backdrop of the FTX fiasco, the Bitcoin one, that is what is really dominating in the US market right now. But of course, in the stock market, they may not play much of a significance in here. So going forward, today and tomorrow will likely to be sideways, depending how is it here. But usually when we see from the sign of VSA, a gap down is always mean the market is going to be healthy in here. So if you have any stocks that you want me to take a look, do share them with me in here. I'm happy to look at them right now in here. So also let's take a look at the KLCI market in here. Where is it now from the futures market? It's still maintaining green, no doubt. You can see this spring here is what we call the sign of strength, the sign of strength, and that's why it's holding above, even for above at the 40-day moving average. So that is actually a significant. It did not see any breakdown. This is a very, very good support, right, from a technical standpoint in here. And I'm not surprised if the market can actually rally, but again, the 1450 will be that kind of resistance in here. The peak value indicator is still pointing upwards. You can see 8.9. It did not go lower than that. No doubt many of you may see the market bearish, or even wanted to sell all the good fundamental shares, which I highly advise against it. Maybe if you're trading those stocks, you should close those trades before coming into to this week, as this week is going to be relatively volatile going in there. All right, now let's look at the likelihood. Where is the government to be forming in here? Now, a lot been said about how the 112 seats need to be there. Of course, after this, we're just going to go through some background in here. You can see the likelihood of the 10 o'clock meeting that they're doing in, I think, Sri Pacific. Right, it's going to be the outcome between Pakatan and BN. If that's the case, it will be choice, likelihood to be a choice number 4, Kerajaan number 4 in here, but they have to pick up this choice number 5. Choice number 5 to pick up, maybe, is it choice Pakatan plus Barisan plus GRS, which is the Barisan group. That will be 140 or 115, right? But right now, Barisan play is cut very close, so we do not know in there. But if that is successful, you're going to get this. But there is also another spanner being thrown into the engine or in the moving clock, is the likelihood of many of the Barisan Nasional may not support this Pakatan and Barisan Nasional, which they have been enemy many times, and people talk about even the very clean company versus the very dirty party in here. It's going to be in here, as I said before, for the interests of the nation. Everybody have to tone down the rhetoric and personal interest, and perhaps work into working together to form the kind of government. I'm optimistic whatever the outcome is, we will get a government, because that is important from a standpoint of the stock market. All right, we are talking about in here is the stock market. There's a concern here, so that's something that we want to see this market in here. I do know many of you who have really tuned out from the market in here and really focusing is what's going to happen in the market in here. All right, so 3 possible scenario which I previously I was talking about was the market gap up. If we do have a nice forming government in here, we'll see the market gap up or sideways or gap down, right? So what we have right now is the gap down that we see in the market, right? So let me just go back here. We see this market gap down, and that is the condition, because usually market uncertainty, we will have this kind of gap down in here. So remember, from a standpoint from volume spreadness, a gap down is really showing a strength in here. Then the question is, can it go higher? But rather than gap up, that we'll see a lot of selling in possibility in here. So a little bit of background, we have 222 seats, 112 is required for the major majority. So on the leading to general election 15, we have the Barisan, right? The 90 seats that Pakatan Harapan have right now has really toned down to 82 seats. Okay, so they lost about 8 seats in here, but I think Barisan also lost 7 seats. Okay, they got only 3 seats left. GTA, which is the so-called, probably got 0. Okay, Muda got 1. These are the independent group who sign off in here. So that is the in here. But Perikatan was the big winner because together with PAS, PAS really got a lot of position in here because there was more like PN plus PAS. So that's the in here. Even GPS got 22 seats. GRS also, I think, still maintain around that, right? These seats in here. PSB, which is the party part of the GRS, was also in here. So you can check that one out here. So that was where we were previously in here. And these were the party, right? Definitely from in here, the two merged leader, right, were Anwar and Muhyiddin in here. Ismail Sabri has been very silenced because he is still considered one of the likelihood candidate for under the new Barisan National in here. So we have to see what's the news in here. Zuraida lost very badly. Mahathir even lost his deposit, so that was been rejected by the people. PSB, Wong, I don't think they did. I'm not sure whether they win any seats, but so far they did not win any seats here. Shafai managed to get 3 seats. Abang Jorif, which is from the GPS and GRS, those are party that did fairly well in here. So the outcome which we will talk about previously in here was a hung parliament right now. So that's why we see this market gap down, which many of you actually got it kind of right too. So going forward is what is likely to know. So let's take a look at the market that we've seen so far, looking at the Anwar and Muhyiddin counter that will give us some sort of a legwork and where we are. So let's take a look at them in here. So you can see this morning we have 2 counters here. Let me just sort of close this here, right? We have the FKLI. The FKLI actually gapped down. You can see this morning, but close up nicely. All right. I hope you can see the screen here from the VSA 360. So it did close up nicely. That shows a lot of strength coming in. And also for ASP, which is an Anwar counter, it's close 8%. It actually opened at 11 cents. So from 11 cents going up to here, that's 22%, a very strong. Whereas the Eden, which is the the Muhyiddin counter, opened at 22, but actually closed about 10% down. No doubt it is still up 17%, but look at this kind of thing. Usually when we see the Eden, these are sign of weakness, which is actually upthrust. So you can see the upthrust. This one earlier on we have a spring, now it turned up. That's actually strength, right? The market moves up and volume is still going up, so that's pretty good if you can hold on until 2 p.m. if the announcement by the Agong here, the king of Malaysia, and we might see this likely to retain at that. So right now the volume is definitely going to be heavy. On the side of the KLCI, you can see it's still holding up. From what this morning is only down 10 points, so not too bad. It has done a little bit of recovery because it will pause just between the market waiting for more news, what is likely to happen in the I'll be scanning for the respectively news in here. Any updates, you can follow me on the Telegram. So these are the 2 short stocks. You can also look at MUI, right? MUI is also another counter. And we also look at Triven, which is another, I believe is, okay, MUI property, also same story, right? Almost unchanged, gap down, closing up in here. And you can see Triven, which is another Muhyiddin counter. Related, okay? Let me just question that. Related counter. This is related, but it's not so much of, any relational. It's just sort of, pseudo link to it. Okay, so that's what for narrative. So this one is still up 17%, but it gaps up at almost this point. You can see up to now is down 13% in here. But look at that volume in here, right? Usually this kind of volume are not a stock to trade, so you just want to be out within the day if you have this stock in here. So that is what's happening in here. Anwar counter seems to be recovering in here. The Muhyiddin related stocks did gap up higher, which is up, but now closing a bit lower than we've seen in here. So that is usually a tall tale sign, which does favor the so-called the new government formation, whichever is coming up soon in here. So we just have to wait for the news. And you know, this morning it's going to be very, very so-called tense. I think many of you of them are also looking into the market, as I am just watching in here side by side. Now, if you have any stocks you want me to take a look, to give a comment, I'm happy to do that. So we just have to wait right now as I'm looking at scrolling at the news in here. Only BN Supreme Council can determine. Zahid cannot literally decide on BM alliances. So that's going to be interesting to see whether they can form or not. But of course, whether half of the Barisan Nasional will form with Pakatan or the other way around, it's yet to be seen in here. It's going to be fairly interesting in here. So if you have any stocks you want me to look at, let me know. So the summary is that the market actually gapped down, which is not really worse off than we've seen. I thought the market would gap at the 1400 level, but it was supported at 1420. We're now waiting many events which set to seen in here. So right now for this week, that news will continue to influence the KLCI in many ways of the counter. But I think by next week, the market will normalize to the normal events once the government been formed in here, and then the normal event of the year-end rally would hold. But December, I'm still remaining to be very bullish, as we've seen US market remain to be bullish. Those dividend shares are fairly alright, so you can wait them for the longer term. Some of these market has already have red pentagon there, so you want to honor and exit them. Overall, this market remain to be very volatile for this week, as news coming in here, and many of what we call the war law are continue to determine their terms and interests in here. So we have to see how the political situation pan out in here. Now, if you have any stocks that you want me to look at, feel free to pencil those in here. Our ongoing of our trade VSA orientations has kicked off last Tuesday in here, and we have some pretty good winner also this morning going into. Just want to share with you some of our stock trading games. You can see since we started, wins has been heavily trading in here, up almost 12,000 profit in here. Nick is about 6,000, and this 5,000 I'm got back up to about 1,000 in here, and Mayfun is 550 ringgit. Some of them have actually taken profit, so they continue to look into this. So that's one of a way we want to see how our members are doing that, and definitely being a VSA trade members will definitely get the so-called first coaching to do this in here. All right, so this is what we are seeing so far, and if you're interested, our masterclass is still ongoing. We are definitely talking about this coming Saturday, the pullback method, and if you want to sign up, you still can, so no problem. We'll start at 9:30, right, for 1 year course, and if you are an existing member, you can come for our pullback method, which is will be ongoing, and you still have a follow-up. This is a course, pullback in the downtrend, pullback patterns, the 2040 setup in here, and using volume profile in here, trade zone, and for just a small investment of 200 ringgit for the non-masterclass member, you can join this class. And of course, our next course is the 3rd of December, will be the palm oil futures, which is a trade that we are definitely learning, and it's a very good positive flows in the day-to-day training of the FCPO in here. Okay, and very proud of our students through our training. Just like we have said before, the stock trading competition is one way we can kick off and train many of our participants. Okay, we got the Christina in here, and of course, this coming Wednesday is the 23rd. Swallow your fear and prepare for the December market rally. All right, that will be the talk for this coming Wednesday night, right? And we have Christina in here wanted me to look at DNext. All right, DNext. Of course, DNext last week has sort of gapped down due to the so-called whistleblower and some lawsuit that we've seen in here. So that's why the market this morning is up 12%. This was a big, huge gap drop in here, but the market now gap back up and looking pretty decent, but it's not going to go far from that way. Any other stocks that you want me to look at? I'm happy to do so. All right, if there's no stock, thank you for coming. Thank you for a very quick update for the preparation for the GE15, the post result in here. And of course, I will have more updates for our members in the public in here. And do give us a review on our Google review in here. And if you have not done so, and stand a chance to walk away with a 3-month membership in here. All right. Thank you for coming, and don't forget to subscribe to our Trade VSA channel in here. More update, right, on our morning podcast every Wednesday, and see you. And don't forget, sign up for our breakfast show and also our Telegram in our free stock channel in here. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you in the next session. Bye-bye.